You're listening to Demand and Disrupt, the podcast for information about accessibility, advocacy, and all things disability.
Welcome to Demand and Disrupt, a disability podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Parsley.
And I'm your co-host, Sam Moore. How's it going, Kimberly?
Things are just going great here in Bowling Green. How about up there in Henderson, Sam?
Well, so far, so good. A little warm on the outside, but 'tis the season. I'm glad that things are going okay with you and most importantly, Biscuit. As we were talking off air, she's got her medication, so she's reasonably calm, at least for now.
Biscuit is medicated. It is true. She is medicated.
Yes.
We all have to rely on medicine from time to time, and I have to rely on medicine for the dog. So
that's true. We all have to rely on medicine for different reasons.
and Biscuit is relying on medicine to keep calm and settled down, and it's going. It is.
Whatever makes it happen.
Exactly. And later on in the show, I am going to be talking to a frequent guest, Carissa Johnson. And
Carissa!
Yes, and she and I are going to have an awesome conversation about the cost of disability. And that is something you can relate to, right, Sam? How expensive stuff is.
A topic that never quite fully escapes anybody's minds, I don't think, because, the cost of essential technology for not just folks of the blind and visually impaired community, but other disabilities as well is certainly going up. I know that particularly with JAWS, since I'm a screen reader user, and I've used JAWS ever since high school when it was, shortly after it took off. But anyway, the cost of those JAWS updates now is, definitely starting to increase. And knock on wood, it hasn't been a problem for me yet, but I can see a world where it would be at some point.
Now, JAWS, do you have like the whole version and you get updates, or do you have is it like a subscription model now? Which way do you do that?
Well, I'll like this version. Well, I need to update for 25. I still have JAWS 2024, but you'll get notifications that there are updates available within your particular version, and you say yes or no. And I don't say yes as often as I should, but when I do say yes, it'll tick tock at me for about 30 seconds while it's updating, and every year a new version seems to appear, and I don't always update every year either, like I should. But anyway, yes, JAWS seems to move faster than we're capable of moving ourselves.
Really? Yeah. Same with me. I think I was telling Carissa that the most expensive thing in my house is my Mantis Q40, which is a keyboard and refreshable braille display.
Yeah, which you use in combination with an iPad, correct?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a 2-for-1 combo that enables you to be productive and successful, and it keeps you pretty well flying on a daily basis, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But man, those things are just so. I mean, everything gets more expensive, and everybody talks about that. So that's boring to talk about, but it is still true. But then when you rely on other things that are even those extra things are getting expensive, it's just, man, it's just a lot,
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not new news or anything, but it's the more we're impacted, the more we want to talk about it and want to vent, I guess.
That's true. It's like I was so happy that my son turned 16 and we were going to have another driver in the house. And then I looked at the cost of insurance for a 16-year-old. So it might be a little while before we have another driver in the house.
Yeah, you gotta sort of take the good with the bad in that situation.
Apparently you do.
Anyway, how soon will it be when Mr. Ian gets his license?
Well, he's got his permit and he's driving and logging his hours. And I don't know, because obviously I'm not in charge of the driving education.
Right, yeah, that's true. You wouldn't know exactly.
I don't know how many hours he's supposed to log, but I know he is. Him and Michael are going out and driving. He goes over to Michael's office and he drives home from school after school with Michael in there and stuff. So yeah, he's logging his hours and learning.
So he's working towards it.
He is. speaking of the mantis, my Braille learning is coming along. I'm able to use the Braille display. I'm improving, but the newest version of the update to the mantis, my Braille display, so if you connect it to a Bluetooth speaker, it would also talk, which was great.
So you got flexibility. You could read or listen.
Yes, exactly. And it's good when you're learning because, you're like, well, what exactly is the Braille contraction for this word or whatever? And you don't know. And you type it in and then it'll show up on the Braille display, so.
Now, I primarily read Braille with my pointer fingers. Now, what fingers are you trying to learn Braille with?
Well, I can just read it with like the side of my thumb on my right hand. That's the only thing
that takes talent. At least I can't. That's not something I've been
No,
able to
it's hard on your wrist, honestly. But Braille, I mean, it's hard on my wrist the way I have to hold my hand, but that's just how it has to be done. And
Kimberly just finds ways to make it happen.
But I complain a lot, so there's that.
Well, nothing wrong with complaining as long as you find ways.
And so I had the speaker, Bluetooth speaker hooked up, and all was good. And then, I've been using a computer for long enough. Sometimes you just try things, right? If you don't remember a thing, you just try a thing.
Sure.
Sometimes that works out. Apparently, this time it did not. So somehow my Bluetooth speaker stopped talking.
Oh, just all of a sudden?
Just all of a sudden. Now, I knew it was still connected because it would make noise, like a bonk, noise and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, I've been over manuals and trying to figure out what I had done. I had no idea. And I was getting frustrated, but my Braille was improving because I had no choice but to just look at the Braille, right? Because it wasn't talking. So
yeah, there for a while, you didn't have the listening option.
I did not. And then I was trying to save something and I hit like Control Function S. And my speaker said, speech on. And I was like,
then you solved your listening problem.
I did. I was like, oh, so that's how I turned it off. I just don't know. So now I know how to turn the speech on and off. I just don't know how to save a document.
You solve one problem, you create another.
Sort of. Yes, exactly. So
that's the way the technology world tends to work.
It is indeed.
Oh, goodness. But that gives us stories to talk about. So I'm sure between now and next time, Kimberly, we'll both have other technological trial and error stories.
We will. And in between now and the next time we talk, people can, of course, visit us on YouTube.
Yes, indeedy.
That's exciting. That we're
brand new
YouTube.
Channel.
Please tell your deaf and hard of hearing friends, because I believe there's an excellent captioning feature on that might be useful. I would love to hear from the people who are using that. Tell me if it's useful. If it's not, how we can make it more useful. If what we can do for that.
And our email address is real hard to remember, I know, but it's demandanddisrupt@gmail.com.
That it is. And, we're even kicking around the idea of doing a live podcast episode. How exciting is that? Yeah. So y'all let us know.
I have to, I have to really be on my game because anything that I say.
We'll have to get Sam out of Henderson, drag him to either Bowling Green or Louisville or somewhere. We'll,
yes. That if we're live, that means, it would really help if we're under the same roof.
We'll have like a live audience. We'll take audience questions. It's a whole thing we're looking into.
Oh boy, we're going to have to find this. Gosh, we might be at, what's that theater in Bowling Green now called Sky Pack?
We could see about Sky Pack. I don't know. We really have to get some interest, see if we could fill that up, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we'll have to really work on our PR between now and then.
So you all let us know if you think that's a good idea. If that's something you'd be interested, would you travel to either Bowling Green or Louisville, wherever's closest to you, to come and talk with us on air live? That would be. They'd
be lining up to see us, Kimberly, just like they used to line up to see Garth Brooks.
I don't know, Sam. I don't know.
At least that's what I keep telling myself.
I love your optimism. I do. All right.
One of these days.
Yeah. One of these days we will hit the big time. All right, gang. Well, listen up, because next is my Cal conversation with Carissa Johnson about the cost of disability. Welcome to Demand and Disrupt, a disability podcast. I am Kimberly Parsley, and I am here today with special guest Carissa Johnson from the Center for Accessible Living Murray office. Carissa, how are you doing?
Good, Kimberly. How are you?
I am doing well. Carissa and I, and also Keith Hosey, who has gone AWOL on us. He had an emergency come up at work that he is dealing with. And so Carissa and Keith, had the idea to talk about timely issues that come up. And so what we're going to talk about today is the cost of disability. And Carissa and I are going to give that a go. Do you think we can manage this without Keith, Carissa?
I think we can do it.
I believe we can. I believe that we can. So we just wanted to talk about this topic. And listeners out there, if you hear you have your own stories, give us a shout out either at demandanddisrupt@gmail.com or jump on that Facebook link and let's continue the conversation. So, Carissa, what do you think of when you think of the cost of disability?
Well, I'm going to automatically start with what other people seem to think sometimes. They seem to think that because I'm disabled, I get help from the government on a lot of things. And that's just not true. That's just not true. Anything from my power wheelchair to cost of briefs to physical therapy to all of that, that is all on me, folks. I'm not on Medicaid. I'm not on any kind of assistance. I am on an attendant care program, but I have to cover that cost as well. So there's a lot I can talk about. Where do you want to start, Kimberly?
So you were telling me about your wheelchair woes. So let's talk about what that entails.
Woes is a good word for that. So, for those that may not know, a lot of our listeners may know, insurance will cover a new power chair. Well, when I say cover, they will cover a portion of a new power chair around every 5 years. So, but for those that don't know, I live in my power chair. That is my freedom to get around. So, parts and services for that chair are all on me, basically. So if I were to go to the durable medical company that supplied my wheelchair, give you an example, they would charge $800 for my joystick, the joystick alone. And I don't know about anybody else, but I don't have $800 lying around. But you have to meet your insurance deductible first. So I've got a workaround for some of this. We started looking at other options like eBay and the internet to buy a joystick for $130 versus $800. Now the downside to that is that's not applied to my deductible, but it's what I can afford.
Right.
So what do? It's a catch-22. Same thing with wheels. Batteries, if you go to a durable medical company, they can charge you like $600 versus $300 online. So again, what do? I've had to buy those recently as well. I've also had to buy foot plates because, they don't last as long. The stuff's not built like it used to be. So I've had to fork out for about 3 different sets of those since I got this chair. And that's just the wheelchair, Kimberly.
Right. But it is essentially part of yourself.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, this is how you get through the world.
It is definitely how I get through the world. Without it, I'm stranded on a couch. Because manual chairs don't work for me, essentially. I don't have the freedom to push myself around. If I did, I wouldn't be in a power chair. So
right.
I do have a manual chair and we use it when we have to, but it's not ideal. Not only the cost, but waiting for these parts through durable medical companies. They have you over a barrel. You can wait for like 3-4 weeks, maybe.
During which time you're out of commission. You're, or what do you do? Do you use a wheelchair that's not safe? What do you
I
what do
will
you
try
do?
to use my manual chair. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But my husband has to push me.
Right. Right.
So, which means he has to assist me in the bathroom and everywhere else.
Right. Right.
So, and because the power chairs are made for me, I could try to find another power chair that I could rent, but that's another cost. And
Mm-hmm.
it may or may not fit me.
Right. Right. And
So,
a day in a chair that doesn't fit you would, I would assume, lead to some pain issues, correct?
it's murder on my back, my hips, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get to not feeling well on top of that.
Right.
So,
And I think that's an important part too. We talk about the cost of disability, and we're talking about the money part, but there is a time and an energy cost that is not calculable. But I mean, you feel it with every breath, don't you?
you absolutely do. And the last time I had to get another joystick was around Thanksgiving. I spent probably 2 weeks on the couch.
Mm-hmm. And that's
do that.
right, and that's very hard on you. A busy time of year emotionally. That's hard.
That's fun for about a day.
Yeah. Yes. The couch is something you always look forward to when it's a choice, but it is a prison when it's not your choice, when you have to be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, a lot of us who are disabled have a disability and it's not part of a medical condition, or, it's medical isn't an ongoing situation. That is not my situation. The cost that I incur the most is healthcare. And I know that's true whether you're disabled or not disabled, but I mean, one of the medications that I take it's new and it's a miracle and I'm so happy for it, but it is $20,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And I mean, like you said, insurance covers that, sort of not. There's always a big deductible, a copay, all of those things. And that's an expense that, that's the difference between whether we go on vacation or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the things that used to be, that's the difference in whether, you're able to get dental care or whatever, because, well, do you have the medicine or do you have your teeth cleaned? You're not going to be able to do all the things. And then I think for a lot of disabled people, we talked about pain and pain management, massage and physical therapy are critical to well-being.
Yes, they are.
And they are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your experience? I mean, I think sometimes insurance doesn't cover it when it's just for pain management, does it? I'm not fully sure.
Well, the way mine works, first of all, I get up to 25 visits a year of physical therapy. Those aren't free. I have my copays. But this last year, when I try to go every year until I have no more visits, and it's not like I'm healed, so I could go all year long if they let me. They do not. But
Right.
I went this last year to the physical therapist that I went to the year before. Insurance covered it. I got there and they were going to charge me $400 for that one visit.
Wow.
I left.
Right. Yeah.
And had to dig for a new physical therapist. So that's I don't want to say training somebody new because they're obviously trained, but if you work with people that you've worked with before, they know who you are, they know how you need to be lifted, they know
Yep.
Your body essentially. So it's somebody brand new. But here's how insurance works. I get 25 visits a year. They will approve 3. And
wow.
So I pay my copays, which are 25 to 50 a month, depending on the therapist.
Yes, that's
they're
not
not
mine
cheap.
too. No,
They're not cheap. Okay. And then the therapist will have to write a progress note on my improvement, which I say that in air quotes.
Yeah,
People
right.
can't see. And then 9 times out of 10, it will be 2 or 3 more weeks before I will get 3 or 4 more. Okay, so until they say, yeah, you can go back, or no, you've hit your limit. Last year, I had 6, and they told me I couldn't have any more because I wasn't improving. Kimberly, I've got CP.
Right.
That is never going to improve.
That's never going to improve. Right.
I laugh at that every time.
Yeah.
And it's not like I want to go. Do I have $25 3 times a week? No.
Right.
And when we could afford it, I would even go to a personal trainer, which is like $200 for 5 visits or 4 visits. I'm sorry. So I did that until we couldn't afford it anymore. But
the thing I don't understand about, I mean, the list of what I don't understand about American healthcare is long, but it's like people take, they approve for medications, which are maintenance drugs, right?
Yeah.
For me, and it sounds like for you too, physical therapy is maintenance.
It is. Without it, I'm in pain.
Right.
And it's not like I can go home and do an exercise program by myself. I need assistance. So I don't understand that, but they will pay for me to go to the hospital or to an inpatient rehab. So they will pay for me once I get so down that I need that kind of assistance. That is backwards.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And it's a cost that, we just have to do. We sometimes we have to do. And yeah, that's hard. I know what you say about finding, you want to always go to the same physical therapist because yes, they're trained in doing physical therapy, but they're not trained on, a new one is not trained on your body.
Exactly.
I drive from Bowling Green to Scottsville to go to the same hairdresser. When she moved to Scottsville, I followed her because I just don't want to have to explain to another person, oh, if you spin me around in that chair, I promise I'm going to throw up on you. Or this is where all the scars on my head are from brain surgeries. And I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to tell a stranger my medical history, but it's going to come up if it's a new person. So we drive to Scottsville instead.
I have the same thing with the hairdresser. They
really?
they actually know how my chair works, and I use a thing to wash my hair. I get my hair colored all the time. But once I find somebody, I'm loyal because I don't want to have to explain how all that works again.
Right. And I think I need to tell our listeners, when you say you get your hair colored, you're not kidding. So tell the fine folks what color your hair is today.
Currently, it is dark blue, mostly, and with a splash of pink and purple.
That's
we
awesome.
are trying to transition back into my mermaid hair, but I had red in it, and you can't go from one to the other, so we're getting there.
What is mermaid hair?
Mermaid hair is a teal, a pink, and a purple.
Oh, that sounds pretty.
Which reminds me of mermaids. So.
Oh, I would love that, but I'm too lazy. I'm just too lazy to fool with getting my hair colored.
That's my therapy. Is it? That's my hair colored. Yes.
There you go. You get your therapy however you can, right?
Exactly.
Your way is healthier. I just eat cookies. So
I'm not saying I don't do that too.
And I mean, another cost that for me personally, technology is yeah. I mean, I think for a lot of people, an iPhone would be considered a luxury. It is not a luxury for me. It is a necessity. Android phones and things like that, they also for me, it takes kind of the higher end because I use my phone all the time, and it takes a good battery. It takes a good processor because whatever the phone is naturally doing, my phone is also talking. And one year I went from like, I don't like getting a new phone, y'all. I mean, really, I really don't, because I just like what I like. But finally, when I had to get a new phone, and I realized that like when I was scanned documents and things, the cameras had become so much better that I could actually do it now. I could actually scan printed documents. And I didn't think I needed a camera, but it turns out I did for that purpose. So that kind of technology is expensive. Braille displays are so insanely expensive, just thousands and thousands of dollars expensive. And, you know, that's important to me. I'm learning Braille. I'm getting to the point where I can use Braille, you know, for podcasting, making notes and things. So what about technology for you? I mean, obviously your power chair is technology.
It is. Some of the other things that I use, and a lot of this is starting to be built in a little bit better than it used to. But for large documents, I need a screen reader because I also have a reading disability. I use dictate to type because my fingers don't really work like a typical person's.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that technology is built in, which is good, but my vehicle to drive, if I didn't have VR to help me with that, there isn't any way. Most people look forward to retiring. I do not, because then I won't have that service anymore and won't be able to drive.
Mm-hmm. And OVR helps because it helps you maintain your job, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
It will help with, it's helped with tables, it's helped with the phone system that I use at my job and all of those things that I wouldn't be able to afford otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. OVR also bought my Braille display. I should say that because I could not afford that.
But here's something that they don't pay for that's technology. A lot of people consider things like Audible for audiobooks a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only way I read books because I have to have audiobooks. I can't absorb what's in a regular text very quickly.
Right.
So
yeah.
I pay for that every month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same. I didn't even think of that, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I have Audible. I would go, you know, just get books from the library. And there is like, what's it called? Libby.
Yeah.
Libby has ebooks, but I think what's the other one? Hoopla. Hoopla is one that I believe has some audio books.
But they don't have the selection that Audible
has not nearly the selection. Right. Exactly. And another thing that I don't.
That's another technology.
What is?
Echo. I'm not going to say the other word because she'll go. I have one in my office.
Yes.
But that technology from Amazon, that does my lights and stuff at the house.
Oh yeah.
Helps me write things down in my calendar. I could not live without her. I don't know what I did without her.
I say that all the time. Yeah, I don't know what I did without that because I use it all the time as well, and that is also a cost. Now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking about all the subscriptions that I just pay for out of pocket that are because of something else that I can't use. You know, I don't use a traditional computer because I can't use my left hand at all. And I have a little bit of sensation problems in my right hand. So I don't use a traditional computer. I use my Braille display now with an iPad or an iPhone. But, you know, I have to pay a subscription for like my word processor, you know, program, the app. So I didn't even think about all those. And then let's talk kitchen stuff.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, there's a lot of kitchen stuff.
I mean, and there's a lot in the kitchen that I can't do just because I can't afford the stuff I can use.
Right.
I can't afford the accessible air fryer, for example. So I just don't use that. Or Michael does a lot of our cooking. Michael's my husband. Everybody knows, I think. But
For me,
And
it's the oven. I would love one with the two doors that open right in front of me that I could get things in and out, but I can't afford that thing. So
right. So
my
what do you do? You don't use your oven? You use like something else instead?
my husband will get it in and out.
Right, right. Same. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm just, my right arm is just not, my arms are not strong enough for me to put anything in the oven. And if our current appliances, which are old, but they actually have knobs, you know, so like you can actually turn a knob and I can feel it. I've got like what they call bump dots to put on, like this is like low, medium, high, whatever,
Right.
on like washer and dryer, oven for temperature, things like that. If they ever die and the only thing they have out now are like these touch screens, I am in such trouble. I don't know what I'm going to do because the
Because
accessible,
everything is going to touch screens.
I know, and I hate it.
Oh my gosh.
So your washer and dryer, do you have, is that a problem? Do you have to have a special washer and dryer?
I have to have a front loader on a base, and we know those aren't expensive. Or I say that facetiously. And they clean just as well, don't they? No, they don't. But I have to have what I have to have.
Right, right. If it's going to get even mostly clean, that's what has to be done, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so many little things. Like a lot of times, if I have to buy so many things that are like workarounds because I can't use both hands. So I'm constantly buying little gadgets like potato peelers to peel just apples, or I can't handle like pouring like cream in a coffee cup. So
you have to have somebody put it in a smaller container, because that's what I do.
That's what I do. I put it. Yes, exactly. I put it in a like a ketchup and mustard like condiments thing, so I can squirt it in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
We're a lot similar in that way.
Exactly. Yes. The manual dexterity issues are a lot.
Oh, and I went crazy over a battery powered jar opener. I'm just gonna say it right now.
I didn't know there was such a thing. Is it good?
There is, and it changed my life.
This is what we geek out over, right? I mean, men watch sports. We talk about battery powered jar openers. So
I will have to send it to you.
You really will. You really will. Yeah, you really will. And I have trouble pouring things, and I drink a lot of hot tea. So my favorite thing in the kitchen, which is technology, and I've had to buy 4 of them now. They're these hot water dispensers. So like you put it in and it boils the water and it keeps it hot all day. So you just put your cup under there and just press the button. It's kind of like a Keurig, but just boiling water all the time.
You're going to have to send me that.
I know, right? It's my favorite thing in my kitchen. It really is. And I mean, and for everything that I have, there's always extras. Like I have to buy not just any oven mitt, but you really can't catch it on fire oven mitt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with the extra large arm too.
Yes. Yes. Yep. The one that goes all the way up to the elbow. That's the one I have. And these are all costs that are constant because stuff wears out, and you get a thing and you love that thing, but you've got to buy it again. So at your house, having a power chair, do you have to have like hardwood or linoleum or something like that?
Yeah,
flooring.
We had, that was one of we had to do a lot when we bought the house, but not near as what I would like to have done. But one of the things we had to do was widen doorways and put hardwood in and lower the upper cabinets.
Gosh, see, I can't even imagine. I bet that was so expensive.
It was. And like I said, those were just the basics. There's other stuff that I would have loved to have done, but don't have the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would love, for example, they have those pull-out shelves that you can pull out of cabinets and they come down to you.
Ooh.
Oh, I would love those.
I
would also like the drawers that come out of lower cabinets, but one day, girl can dream, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. My mom would probably say, well, no woman has the kitchen she wants. which is true. But for us, it's a little different because it's a difference of
little different. Yeah.
it's a difference of whether you can actually, whether it's functional, and that's a lot of it. It's what you need versus, well, what you would like.
Exactly.
We had to do a lot of work to our house a couple of years ago, and I have to have carpet in the majority. Well, everywhere that it's feasible to have carpet, I have carpet because I fall. I fall a lot. And when you fall on carpet, it's just softer. It's just better.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I hated putting in the hardwood, because I do fall as well. So
right. Yes. But the chair will not work on carpet, right? Or won't work as well.
Well, it wears down the carpet fast, so you have to replace it more often.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the problem.
So, So, Carissa, I have the dumbest question ever that I want to ask you since we're talking about flooring.
There are no dumb questions, but go for it.
So, I believe Lisa, our former co-host, mentioned this at one point. Okay, if it's been rainy and muddy here, so if your power chair goes through like a muddy spot, muddy puddle, you just have to. What do? Do you just go in the house anyway? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't want to stay outside and get wet.
Well, no, I mean, is there some space? Is there some like in the entry? Do you have an entry area where?
No, I wish I did. I don't. So
Okay.
it's just me going into the house,
Into the house and clean it up later, right?
That's the other reason why you go for hardwood, because you don't want to clean that stuff out of the carpet.
Right, exactly.
So I track mud.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it.
You can't help it.
I did it in my van. I have rubber flooring in the bottom because you can hose it out versus carpet. And I track gravel and everything else. It's horrible.
Well, yeah, it is frustrating, isn't it? It's frustrating.
Yeah, it really is.
And that gets to the next thing I want to talk about, which is just like cleaning cost, because I have to hire someone to clean my house. That's not a luxury. I can't clean the shower. I just can't. If I vacuum all the movement, I have balance problems. I'm going to fall. And also I inevitably pick up things like I suck up shoelaces or something, and it tears up the vacuum cleaner. So
recently we got one of those robot vacuum cleaners, and I thought it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread for me. No.
Same.
It picks up everything and you don't know it's there, and then it gets stuck, and it's not independent. It's a pain in my butt. But anyway.
Same. I tried the same thing. I thought this will solve my whole problems. I won't have to pay for anybody to clean my house. This will do it. No. All it did was make the area behind my couch super, super clean. That's all it did.
Well, we got one area for you.
Yes. Under the beds and behind the couch were spotless because it was there all the dang time. So, yeah. But, those are costs because hopefully my kids are getting older. I'll make them clean eventually. I'll do that. But right now I have to pay someone to clean, and that's, it's a cost, right?
I have attendant care, but it's my husband. So he does what he can, but a lot of things we just had to let go. My house isn't as clean as I would like it to be because I can't afford a house cleaner. So
yeah.
I totally get why you do that. I would love to. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's a necessity. It's not a luxury.
No, it's not a luxury. Yeah, but it's something you pay for at the cost of something else.
Mm-hmm.
When my son gets his driver's license and we're paying for another insurance, we already know that's going to have to go. Not going to be able to. So I don't know. Maybe he's going to have to clean the house to pay for his car insurance. So I get another driver in the house. So that's good. But But my house is filthy. So
Yeah, right. It's sad that you have to make those choices.
you do. And I know everybody does. It's just that when you're disabled, these are, in my mind, there's always this cost. There's always this thing that goes on, which was, I feel like the person's coming to clean my house and I'm so grateful and I pay for it. But at the same time, I'm wishing I feel less than because I can't do it myself.
Mm-hmm. I feel the same way. Mom is supposed to be able to do it all, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I do know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when you are feeling really bad and you can't wash your son's hoodie that he really wants on a Monday morning.
You almost seem like you're speaking from personal experience there, Carissa.
I am. My poor son really wanted his hoodie this morning and it wasn't clean. And it was because Mama didn't feel good.
Yep. So, and, like we said, there's a time and energy cost to being disabled. Medications that help me to do life also make me very tired. And so a nap is a thing that has to happen.
I have muscle relaxers that do that. Oh, they work wonders when I need them, but boy, did they put me to sleep. How do you function?
Yeah, it's hard. And like I said, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you can't. You have to plan your day around knowing when you're going to get to rest.
Yeah, exactly.
So disability is expensive. It costs a lot. And I would love to hear from our listeners. Again, email or shout out on Facebook. Let us know what your costs are. What didn't we cover? What kind of things didn't we talk about? What would you like to hear more of? Is there another topic you would like us to talk about? Yell at Keith Hosey for not joining this time. That's also entirely applicable. Just go ahead and yell.
Yeah, just give him heck. Just give him
do it. Do it. All right, Carissa. Well, this has been great. This has been an extra for Demand and Disrupt with Carissa Johnson. And maybe next time we'll get Keith Hosey and you all let us know what you want us to talk about next. Thanks for joining, Carissa. Bye, everyone. Demand and Disrupt is a production of the Advocado Press with generous support from the Center for Accessible Living based in Louisville, Kentucky. Our executive producers are me, Kimberly Parsley, and Dave Mathis. Our sound engineer is Michael Parsley. Thanks to Chris Ankin for the use of his song, Change. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please consider leaving a review. You can find links to our email and social media in the show notes. Please reach out and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks, everyone.